Hey everybody, today's video is going to be on the Lionsteel M1. Now this is supposed to be the little brother of the famous Lionsteel M4, which I actually wanted that one instead of this one, but since the sheath has such a narrow profile, I was going to use this as mainly an EDC knife. This one is basically just the right dimensions all around for me. The blade length is 2.91 inches, so just under 3. You know, if you have a 3-inch limit for your area, this will get in just under the radar. What I like about this blade is that it does in fact have a sharpening choil, so you can get all the way to the back of the blade. It has a bit of a guard. It's not super pronounced, but it's enough to at least help when you're in a hammer grip. I love what they did with the spine of this knife. What they did was they crowned it. So basically the spine, it feels round, so it's extremely comfortable to use for whittling. However, you still have these sharp corners on either side of the blades that you can scrape a ferro rod or scrape wood to get a fire going. These black G10 handles feel very nice. They have just the right amount of traction without being overly tacky or slick in any way. These handle bolts, the handle screws, sorry, they are a little bit pronounced. They don't bug you when you're bearing down on this knife, so that's a good thing. This little paracord with the titanium lanyard bead, it does kind of help get the knife out of the sheath, because when you get it, it's pretty tight. I'll show you that real quick. So you can either loop your pinky in there and just pull the whole thing out, or do it however you like, since everybody's a little different, But in the sheath, it's very nice, very low profile. In fact, it's very pocketable if you prefer to carry it that way. Made in Italy. Make sure y'all can see that. Lionsteel, Maniago, Italy. So when I first opened it up, I was excited because I had waited several days to get this in the mail. So when I got the notification that I was ready to pick up, I jetted over to the mailbox, and one thing I noticed right away was that the stitching wasn't perfect. And it's a little bit strange because this knife is about $130 pretty much everywhere you find it. So I was a little disappointed to notice that the stitching wasn't perfect. Like on the front, it looks really good. It looks really nice. The sides have been nicely slicked and kind of rolled over. But then the back just looked a little bit ugly. I don't know if you can notice that. Like right here, it looks a little choppy. Then like this section looks choppy, like this corner. It's coming off of the corner of this loop. This is the belt loop. It's pretty tight because, as you can see, the kind of guard area of the knife comes right through the belt loop. So it's a little tight getting on the belt the first couple times, but after that, it's fine. And then also, yeah, I just felt the stitching was a little sloppy, but that's me. Now, onto the steel. This uses the famous Spoler M390, which is one of the modern super steels. It's one of the more affordable super steels when you get a Lionsteel, because 3V has become sort of the gold standard, but 3V is not only expensive, but it's incredibly tough to sharpen, especially for inexperienced knife sharpeners, or for people that just use knives really as utility tools and not like professional chefs or anything that know how to sharpen the knives. But I could not get this knife sharp for whatever reason. Like, I'm no slouch when it comes to sharpening knives. I sharpen every knife I purchase myself, and they all come out pretty sharp. Nothing, like, I don't ever feel like I would shave with a knife. Like I hate when people shave their whole arm. Like, that literally doesn't prove anything. Because I'm going to show you two knives right now that this is my EDC that I was replacing with the M1. This is my Enzo Necker. And while this knife is never like blistering sharp, it's pretty sharp all the time. Okay, like the edge is a little toothy right now, but as I said, I use this knife every day, or almost every day, so it doesn't need to be an absolute razor. And also, as another comparison, let me get it out the sheath, sorry. This is just an old K-bar I cleaned up and restored not too long ago. You can see how thick the spine is, flat ground blade. I can do this kind of wavy cut fairly easily with this knife. So hopefully what I demonstrated to you there is that I do know how to sharpen knives, but apparently not good enough for this steel. Now, I went back several times to do it, and I could not for the life of me get this thing nowhere near as sharp as either knives that I just showed you. And I'm mainly thinking it's because of the spine thickness. It's just as thick as both knives. Typically on these thicker knives with narrower blades, you have to bring the grind up a little bit just to compensate for how thick the knife is. And I'm going to show you just a sample cut. Like, it doesn't even want to bite into the paper. And I've literally done everything I possibly could to this knife, and I even scratched it up in the process. So I was really bummed out about that. I used this DMT Diamond Stone coarse, about 375 grit, and like, I used it to sharpen my cold steel Finn Wolf. So I was like, oh, okay, this is great. You know, it gets rid of the chips and dings real fast. And then I can go into my ceramic stones, my king stones. I usually do 1,000, and then 4,000, and then I'll go to a strop, which is exactly what I did on this knife and the Enzo Necker during the initial reprofile. And like I said, I can't get this knife sharp, and I wanted to love this knife so bad because of the money I spent on it. Again, $130, but I can't use this knife, and it's such a shame because, I mean, the craftsmanship of the knife itself are amazing. Okay, the factory grind was in fact sharp enough to use out of the box, but I just didn't like the way it cut. Basically, with every knife I get, that's the case. Like, it's sharp enough to use out of the box. Cold steel Finn Wolf was very sharp out of the box. I still sharpened it myself. And in fact, I'm going to grab that for you right now since I have it close by. 2 seconds. There we go, cold steel Finn Wolf. It's not so pretty because, again, I use these knives. This one's mainly for wood. I use it to actually scrape axe handles that I'm working on, and it works pretty well for that. But this steel in a Scandi grind is a little chippy, the Aussate A. However, this is the sharpest knife in my collection, and it is disgusting sharp. Like, that was literally no effort, and I'm able to get the craziest wave cuts. Almost out of paper here, but you get the point. You know, anywhere on the blade, it's very sharp. So as I was saying, I really wanted to love this knife, but it's just not for me. The handle is good enough in a hammer grip. Same thing with the Enzo Necker. These aren't the thickest knives in the world, so you can compare. But it is thicker than the Enzo handle, so it's a little more hand-filling, if that's what you're on the fence about. But I don't know why the hell I can't sharpen this steel personally. Aussate A, most likely a carbon steel, but it could be a cheaper stainless, and the Enzo is 12C27. I also sharpened a more Garberg myself. It's also very sharp. But this M390, I don't know. Maybe it's just not for me. Or maybe it's just the fact that, again, this is a narrow blade with such a thick stock. The Enzo Necker is, I believe, is 3.5 mil, and this is something very similar. But I really just don't know, man. It's crazy. I tried every single thing I know to sharpen this, and I just couldn't. But maybe you'll have better luck than me. Obviously, mileage may vary between person to person, sharpener to sharpener. But if you know how to sharpen this well, you will in fact love this knife. But if you're like me, you only have experience sharpening lower quality steels, but you are a decent sharpener, this may not be the knife for you. You know, you might be looking at a different steel. Maybe you might want S30V or 154 CM. The 14C28 isn't too bad to sharpen as well. So you have a couple options in sort of the mid-grade steel, not the highest end. But if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. I appreciate everybody letting me know what I could do better, what I can improve on, or even what you want to see next or more of in each video. Like, share, and subscribe, and as always, guys, have a good one.